So that's it. Welcome everyone to another financial planning open session. This open session is obviously to follow the discussions that have been uh, taking place in the financial planning and treasury management working group. And the idea is to keep these discussions ongoing. We had some pitch proposals from different groups of people to manage the treasury, to try to find a way how to diversify our treasury, how to get some like to invest the treasury to like make it sustainable. So we're kind of going and keeping discussions on the same line. And for that, yeah, I'll pass it to Lorlike, the facilitator of that working group, and he will introduce you the whole topic and the people that's going to present a proposal today. I'll pass it to you, Lorlike.
Thank you, Frank. Hi, everyone. So recently we had a conversation with Karpatki and Avantgarde Finance, who shared their financial proposal for our DAO. Karpatki has withdrawn their interest to put forward this proposal and shared their recommendations for our DAO. And today we have Avantgarde Finance who are present there, who are present here, sorry, who are co-authors of this financial proposal. They have updates for us, and it's a good chance to speak to financial experts on DAO financial planning. In my personal opinion, we need experts who will help our DAO with financials. So they will provide accounting, budget planning, treasury management, grants, financial assessment services, for example. So I'm sharing with you here in the chat financial proposal by Carpatkia and Avantgarde, and recommended actions for the failed DAO financial planning from Carpatkia, and I pass it to the Moss from Avantgarde Finance to share updates with us. Thank you all.
Right, great. Thank you guys for the intro. By the way, this is what we're discussing today.
Hey Moss, we can hear you.
Yep, we can hear you, and we are not like seeing anything if you're sharing your screen.
Okay, no, that's okay. That's okay. I'm actually, Lord, like I sent you the presentation, so at some point.
Yeah, I can see it. Let me share it.
You don't need to share it right now. I mean, just let me just quick intro, and then we can go. So first and foremost, I wanted to I wanted to anything like that. It's just
I think we are losing you. I don't know if I'm the only one that's not hearing Moss, right? Um,
Yeah, I can hear you, Moss. So
it's like you start talking and then it goes like it fades away.
Is it better now? I'm not sure exactly.
Nope, it's not getting better.
So you can sort of hear me, but then I disappear.
Now we can hear you, but I mean try to keep talking and we'll like raise our hands if we cannot hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say that we wanted to.
Nope, it's not working. Definitely, we're losing you.
maybe you can reconnect, or Hamad can catch up.
I'll give Moss a minute just to come back otherwise.
Also, Lola, could you build like in full screen mode the presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Not hearing you, Moss.
Oh man.
Okay, let's try to move to Google Meet. I create a just a quick uh, meeting to see if that works.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's something with my AirPods or something like that. All right. Give me a second. Cool. So yeah, the audio won't be perfect, but at least you can hear me. All right. So just wanted to say that before we go into the presentation, that we just wanted to show up here today. We wanted to say that eventually we want to post a forum proposal. This is just to give you the high level outline. Also, important note, like the previous setup was including obviously carpet key as you know, more like the spearheading this proposal, and us for the infrastructure, and also the regen were also involved, more in the background, I would say, in the first setup, but now in this new agreement with them, we're gonna go side by side, and so we're gonna split responsibility in a sort of equal fashion. So this is important, and that's why we have also Hamad here, who's from Regen, and he will actually take he will talk about the two buckets of accounting and also the budgeting part, and I'm gonna be more like going into more details about the treasury management part. Also, yeah, I mean, this is just I think to get the ball rolling again. I think it's a first step, and then obviously we want to get a bit more involved in the discussions going on on Discord. Getting a bit more feedback from you guys, from the community, from the delegates, and then moving on, like following the governance process, and until we can find a final agreement that works for all, and then hopefully we can get this going as soon as possible. All right. So this is just wanted to clarify where we are at and how we're thinking about this. Definitely, we think that as you can see from these few slides, we think that the DAO is at it's a pivotal moment, and there's a lot of potential, and but the management of resources has been suboptimal, and it's put like the whole DAO in a bit of a jeopardy. So it can risk the long-term sustainability for the project. And I guess discussing with Lord like and you guys in the last session that I remember I was also present, there seems to be quite a consensus around this idea that there needs to be more professional resource management, starting from better accounting, better budgeting, and then implementing certain strategies for treasury management. So we're glad to see that, or sense that there is a growing consensus on this idea. And so on the basis of this, we want to speak about, again, remind everyone the three buckets that we in principle want to cover. And then we can also open up for questions if you have any. Although again, as a disclaimer, this is not the full proposal. It's not fleshed out in full details, and so as we rework the proposal from the previous version that was essentially led by Carpet Key, we might want to actually like refine some points. But I mean, this is the main outline that we want to present. So I'll leave it to Hamad also to introduce himself. And then, Lord, like you can go. I mean, every slide is basically one bucket, so then you can go one by one, and we can then touch them individually.
Cool. Thanks, Moss. Hi, guys. Hamad here from Regen. Yeah, excited to be here. I'm working alongside Avantgarde on this proposal. Lord, like you can probably move on to the first bucket. But I'm just going to give a quick overview of the two buckets that Regen will be responsible for, I guess, delivering as part of this partnership. So looking at its accounting, I guess here our aim will be to really work with Decentraland to provide a complete and accurate insight into the financial position and financial data of the DAO. So here our work will involve really looking at historically what the community and the contributors have done in terms of the financial work, and looking to import this onto some form of crypto accounting subledger and then a traditional accounting software to really automate the bookkeeping and financial statement production. So some of the main deliverables here will be financial reports once we've carried out the bookkeeping, so a year-to-date financial report. Then on an ongoing basis, looking to provide monthly accounts and financial statements as well, and really looking to get the contributors and the community's input on what they would like to see from a financial viewpoint and what we would like to report on. And then the final step will be to really integrate this financial information into the current Decentraland information feed. So we've seen you guys have a really transparent transparency board on your governance site. It's really cool at providing insights on a day-to-day basis to the community and contributors. So looking to really feed our accounting work into that form of a dashboard. And then the second bucket will be budget and planning. So here, really looking into the goal is to improve the financial and strategic planning and really help build a successful and sustainable organization. As Moss mentioned, that was at a pivotal point. So all of this accounting work we will do will help inform basically the planning and budgeting here and help us make better decision making. So here, some of the deliverables will be working together to create some form of strategic and financial goals, and using those to create a DAO-wide budget and long-term financial plan. And again, this will be done collaboratively with the contributors and the community to get their main inputs. And then the final piece of work will be really looking at the grant structures and looking at the efficiency of the DAO's spend and seeing how we can potentially improve that or add processes that can allow us to report on key metrics better, I guess. But yeah, that'll be the two main buckets that our region will be focusing on. And they will very much feed into, as I'll pass back onto Moss, the work that the Avantgarde team will be carrying out as well.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. And yeah, the last bucket is the one that obviously is going to take the input from the previous two. The idea here is going to be to create some stable revenue flow, and so that will allow the DAO to have some form of financial self-sustainability. So that's the long-term goal. So we're going to take some of the inputs that we get from Regen and basically as also part of the deliverables to have recommendations that we can actually share with the community. Actually, that's one of the points that we wanted to raise, is that like the first few, like say the first period, the first epochs of these assignment will be more focused on the accounting and budgeting and planning. That will form some knowledge about the status of the DAO, will help us get recommendations, and then that can be discussed with the DAO, which will then turn into like a pre-agreed implementation. So also that's important. Also getting your feedback, guys. Reviewing the tokenomics also important as a way also to boost liquidity for Mana, which obviously has some issue with liquidity depth, and then establish a treasury management function which will frequently interface with the DAO, I guess some key members of the DAO, and execute on those portfolio allocations and specific strategies that have been first recommended and then pre-agreed with the DAO at large. So I would say these are the three main points. I think if there's any questions regarding these. Mariana is asking which accounting system. I guess maybe specify a bit more the question.
Hey, Marion, do you mean in terms of the Cryptus accounting ledger? If so, yeah. So here we'll first look at all the data from from decentralized side and really have a look at the different partners we use. So just that'll be CryptoWorth, Trez, or Integral, a few of the names, and it really depends on what we feel like is the most suitable for our clients. So we'll have to really dive into the data and see which one's best equipped to do that.
Mariana is typing something else. While she's typing, I'm gonna briefly touch upon the infrastructure part. Obviously, in the previous setup where we were working together with Carpekey, we were in charge of the infrastructure part with Enzyme. I think right now we're more like on the treasury management part, and definitely, of course, Enzyme is the infrastructure of choice. But I would also say it's not necessarily the only infrastructure that can be used. Like the previous agreement with Carpekey was that we were going to deliver all the necessary integrations that they wanted to see in order for them to be able to run the strategy that they had in mind. Now the ball is actually more in our court, so we will see whether the infrastructure like Enzyme will be the best fit for certain things, maybe not for all. So I think there's more flexibility on that part too as well, which I guess it's also beneficial for the DAO at large. And also, okay, Mariana, I don't know if she's like asking another question. Mariana, can you confirm that the question has been answered, or like, is there anything else that you want to clarify? All right, I guess. Okay, that's better, Mariana, so that you can.
Sorry, I know I'm just like trying to type and work at the same time, so I thought I was.
Good.
No, yeah. So no, I just wanted to like understand more so the maintenance of like the data, like financial transactions. Like, well, yeah, I guess you kind of answered while I was typing with is it your guys' own ledger system, or like, yeah, like I guess will there be, what's the word, accessibility for the community to like kind of see these like the live ledger, and even like when you guys do your reports, like can there be like the traces back to like the underlying data, just to make sure everything kind of audits out and is playing correctly from my perspective at least.
So yeah, in terms of sorry, you finish first. So,
no, I think that's it for now.
Cool. So in terms of the accounting software, it won't be our own, but there is plenty in the ecosystem that will be able to do the job. And like I reiterate myself, but it would depend on what we feel like is the best fit. And in terms of transparency of the underlying data, we probably won't be able to offer that to the whole community in an open way, as it can. There's limitations to how many accounts, etc., you can have. And
maybe even to just like like the key DAO committee or like grant support squad. Like, I think there are key financial holders or like the core units that have to use this information for their jobs too. So like maybe like not for the community, but I think there should be some sort of transparency with where the data is coming from, so everyone can just make sure everything's okay. And I understand like work papers don't have to be public, but I've just like seen in the past, like we've had another, I forgot what the name of their company, but they provided the financial statements, but like at the end of the day, like no one could have checked if it was true or not. So I don't know. I like when, or I would prefer if the community can have transparency on how these are being recorded, and
no, you make a very good point, and I'm sure there'll be a point of contact that we'll need to work with anyway to help us, really classify some of the transactions and the best way to classify them, and the accounts we should set up in terms of chart of accounts. So there will be a person that we probably need to use and provide access to help us do that. So that'll probably be a way of providing that transparency to someone from the DAO.
Yeah, for sure. I'll let you know if I think of any other questions, I guess.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Mariana. Actually, That's important to raise these elements right away so that we can work towards them. As you can see from the last line, this is the sort of budget that we propose. A few, I guess, important remarks is that obviously we know that there were like some pushbacks from the previous request from Carpet Key, so this is, let's say, a substantially lower amount in a 12-month period. Also, like the fact that fully payable in mana, I think is also an attractive part for the DAO. We think that a 12-month assignment would be the minimum necessary because there's initially like most of the work will be for regen, and then it actually will turn more work for Avant-Garde in the later periods. So, but we think that an assignment for 6 months will be probably like way too short to actually do all the things that are necessary and carry out and bring results. So we think a 12-month assignment is the way to go. So all in all, like this proposal can also be lower in pricing because like in the previous setup we had to perform like a bunch of extra development work on Enzyme in order to fit all the strategies that Carpet Key wanted to put in place. At least that was the agreement that we would deliver within 3 months. All the integration required. Now we have, I guess, more flexibility on the infra side, and so then we can provide a more competitive ask. So I think that's also like good news for you guys. All in all, I think we can. Ideally, we would like to see your feedback, and then I guess having conversation with the delegates or like different chiefs of like the subgroups, and then move forward with this in a more detailed proposal that can be put up in the community on the forum, and that can receive further feedback and then move on in the governance being voted. So this is essentially like again like this is the first step, and then next steps will follow.
Here we have a question from last round. What stable revenue flows are you proposing?
We can. This part of like which specific strategies, like this will be detailed in the proposal, I would say, or like we can identify some of these strategies. Actually, this is more like the job of our head of asset management, which will detail many of those things. So definitely a question that will be answered in due time. Actually, our Ansley is here as well, so if you maybe want to invite him, like he can see he's typing, could jump in for a second.
Guys, hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Hi. No, it was just addressing Lastra's question. Thanks so much for that. In terms of the actual specific stable revenue flows, just to expand on Moss's point. So really, the reason this proposal is structured this way is it's crucial to integrate the type of strategies we're looking at with what the risk capacity of the DAO in terms of the risk that you can take based on the financial position, but also what you're looking to achieve in terms of the budgeting. So that's why it's without brushing off the question, it's hard to answer at this stage because the initial part is establishing the financial position and the kind of objectives going forward. I can throw out some numbers just in terms of like what you can expect from DeFi in terms of market level yields, but really how those numbers actually affect you guys is it will happen at a later stage because it really depends on establishing basically the amount of risk that you want to take and need to take, and then trading off those two things. So you know, if it helps, if you guys want to see some projections, we can run some simulations, etc. But really, the kind of final product and the implementation depends on the first two steps. So hope that makes sense. But yeah, you know, if you like to, you know, get an idea of, like I said, market level yields, or you know, just some examples with some example figures, that's something we can work on if that would help you guys at this stage anyway.
I was going to hit Lustrum's question on the financials. I've seen the transparency dashboard, and I guess well, I can talk to the work we will be doing anyway. I guess what the benefit we'll be providing is the financial bookkeeping and reporting we will be doing will be based on proper IFRS standard reporting. So we'll be using proper accounting subledgers. Obviously, the dashboard I think is backed by spreadsheets and pulling APIs. I'm sure is up to date, but we'll be carrying out the accounting and reporting based on the IFRS standards and making sure if they are as robust as they can be, I guess.
Sorry for my comment, but yeah, I just want to like kind of speak on what I said. But I guess maybe the community doesn't understand. Not even that, but there's definitely an importance of like an Excel file being like raw data and then being transformed into like legit statements. So I didn't want to like just echo that, because even like I've dissected the transparency file so many times to kind of to flow for how I want to present it. So definitely having, you know, that file or having you guys have your own system or having your own system to have that data flow in can definitely make a huge impact on how that data is visualized and better maybe just presented.
Yeah, thanks, Marianne, for adding to my answer.
So, if like taking like my personal opinion, so I see like that the point like direction must be like sustainability. So, I would like to see some kind of forecast, yeah, how our DAO can return this investment, like, and using these strategies. Yeah, it would be great.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay? This might be easier.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, good stuff. I just wanted to compare, you know, if you guys had done an analysis on what we currently have. Because I definitely think, as Carl just mentioned, this is needed, but I think if you're going to look under the hood, you got to look everywhere. And so we spend $1.2 million a year running our DAO. We have, you know, these internal squads that support certain aspects. So if we're shifting or moving work to an improved structure based on what you guys are proposing, are we cutting costs elsewhere, or are we just adding another $250,000 to run our DAO to just do things more efficiently that we're already doing now? That was my one comment on what is different in the budgeting and planning. Of course, financials can always be tidied up, but then the forward-looking statements too. You know, what types of revenue streams specifically do you think in this environment would be beneficial to our DAO and the platform, the metaverse, etc.? So I guess, yeah, my question is, would you look at our current squad setup and how much money we spend per year and see if there's efficiencies gained or cost savings available?
I mean, I would say that you know, that's the initial part of the assignment. Yeah. So Ahmad, yeah, go ahead. But yeah.
Yeah, sure. I can take this one. Yeah, definitely. We'll be. I guess we'll do a proper review of the budgeting process firstly, and if there's a standardized way to do this, and having a look at the current squad budgets as well. And I think it provide a good external view, to, hopefully, to the contributors and DAO members, having an external kind of source coming in and helping to facilitate that, I guess, and provide a holistic kind of view on the spend currently, and getting everyone to kind of look at the spend in their individual squads as well, and where cost savings can be made as a DAO.
Right, but my point would be, would you be taking work off of them since you're improving the financial system? Because currently, what we have is somewhere being paid for, right, in our 1.2 million. So if you're going to do it and do it better, we shouldn't be spending what we currently spend on it plus 235,000, right? Will that suggestion be offered?
In my view, like the work that we're gonna do is gonna form recommendations that then the DAO, I guess the DAO will have to make decisions based on the recommendations that we give. And that's the right way to frame it. So the decision is not really up to us, but it's gonna be to the DAO based on the evidences that we create with our analysis.
Okay. No, that's great. So I just want to be clear. Are we paying for improved financials, or are we paying for recommendations on how to improve our financials?
I mean, the recommendation, like, also, will drive an implementation of those things. I mean, that's I think that's the way to go. But if that determines the elimination of other functions within the DAO, then I guess that will have to be decided by the DAO at wide. So this is, I think it's a bit early to say, but this is why I'm thinking like this will have to interface with the DAO and sort of inform on the findings, and then make decisions that also involve like organizational changes. I mean, that's more like a decision that the DAO will have to take.
Okay, I just want to be very clear, because the presentation's great and it sounded like you guys were going to hit the ground running, improving our systems. Instead, it's just making recommendations on how we can improve our system. So I just want to understand the cost spend versus the benefit we're receiving. Because I'm all for it, and I can, leave the stage, whatever. But yeah, I think if you have, I would say, success and a history of competence in restructuring and improving financial systems for organizations, whether they're DAOs, private or public entities, and we can see that track record, and you guys can do due diligence on what we do, kind of like when you're buying a company, you go through a due diligence process. I would be all for improving our financial systems, absolutely, but at what cost? For more recommendations, for more people to come up with more proposals? I just don't know yet.
Okay, thanks for your point, like, National. I think it's it's a bit early to have a definitive opinion on this, but yeah, we can, what we can do, like, is move on with this proposal and then see what you guys like, all your feedback also, I guess, in the wider community, and then see what, I mean, also I see the points that raised by Rick's, that the DAO mechanism needs governance proposal for each decision. So, I mean, obviously we cannot trump on that, but that definitely we'll need to find like a common sense way to turn the analysis that we do, the findings that we have, into an implementation that improve the current situation. So I think that's the status of where we are at right now.
I mean, some maybe 2 cents from my perspective. Obviously, last time you were focusing very much on the first part, which is the bookkeeping, the reporting, and some of the information sharing. Obviously, in terms of actioning that, and I know they're talking about, in the chat, there's some talk about, in terms of the right governance process for actually implementation, and that's something, we can work on together to find something that might work, whether it's recommendations versus implementation. But the key is actually, putting that into the information into action. So one thing that, you guys will know very well is that obviously the composition of the treasury at the moment, is mostly in mana. And when you look at the volatility of mana relative to, even things like BTC, ETH, and of course against things like stable coins, there's a huge difference. And that's obviously not that level of volatility is not conducive to future any type of planning really. And there's obviously you need to pay attention to price impact, market depth, and all these things. But one key element of integrating not just the actual reporting but also the planning and the best composition of a treasury in order to achieve the financial goals you want is addressing things like diversification, which are which are key when you're looking at for example, in terms of grants and then the actual runway you guys have. When you think about diversification, it's not just the treasury, but also having lower volatility gives you more optionality through time, because you're not at the whim of essentially the mana price and having to pay grants when the level of spending power that you have is dictated by price movements. So in terms of implementation, it's things like that we'll look at, which are looking at the financial information, but also how to incorporate that in terms of the actual portfolio construction and things like that. So those are my
Yeah.
2 cents. But
No, I appreciate that, Ainsley. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's not your guys' fault. It's our fault. We spend 1.2 million a year and we don't do anything. And that's on us on our DAO. And it's a unique situation because there is no revenue really. No one is buying wearables. There's no user base. But there is a lot of runway in the DAO treasury to spend, right? There's a lot of spend opportunity, but what are the revenue opportunities? And it can be very simple and it can be very complex. You have to create income somewhere, right? How do you do that? Do you go and artificially create it by diversification and tokenomics and investment? Or do you offer a product that is purchased on a one-time or subscription, or somehow that is how you create income? So I'm trying to wrap my head around spend for more recommendations of how we can create more income, because we're 3 years into this and we still haven't figured it out yet. And all we actually ever hear, and again, it's not your guys' fault, is just tokenomics, diversification, and when to spend mana on grants. There is no real recommendation or substance to actually creating revenue streams. I would love that. I would pay you guys to tell us, hey, Lastrom, this is where we think the metaverse can make money. This is where you guys should focus on trying to create a revenue stream. Versus we think, your mana tokenomics is best at this point in time, and you should buy these 3 tokens at this point in time to extend your runway. And Carl, you're right. The revenue creation isn't an accounting matter. That's what I'm trying to understand. There's a lot going on here. We've got accounting and bookkeeping and then recommendations on revenue. And it's like, where are the action plans? That's what I would love to see. I would pay for action plans.
Ansley, you wanted to say something?
No, I was going to say, that's a valid point, and it's as Carl mentioned, they are distinct things. So in terms of the whole purpose of runway is if there is, like you say, a path to revenue and plans around that, the runway is a tool to sort of ultimately help achieve those goals. In terms of shaping those goals, etc. Like there's that is. Sounds like it's a broader conversation than just obviously treasury management and accounting. We're happy to share sort of our experiences of looking at the DAOs. Whether obviously every DAO is unique and every project's unique, but how others have looked at or in some of the positions have looked at ways of generating revenue. You have to share those, but that's obviously much broader than what we're suggesting here. So maybe there's a way if that is value add that we can obviously talk about that. But it's that obviously goes beyond the financial planning part. If you see my point.
Yeah, no, I totally do. I don't want people to keep telling me what they think is best and taking money and never being implemented. I've done a lot of business deals and real estate deals, and you go under an NDA process. So I would like, if you guys are protective of your ideas, I totally respect and support that. But I would like to see, as part of, a revenue runway or income generation model, protected under an NDA. If you're really worried about us, shopping it or other people, and maybe we can recommend a few people to have eyes and sign that NDA. I would sign that NDA. I would dox myself on that NDA to, have privied information of what your guys' secret sauce to income and revenue generation streams are outside of just tokenomics.
Just to be clear, Lars, this is not a consultancy work. This is actually like the goal of this is to actually go on and then implement all those things. So there's going to be an action plan that definitely going to be actionable and executable. And the goal is that then it goes on and gets implemented by us. So it's not just about, sharing ideas. It's also like about getting those ideas into an action plan.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, no, I just want more action instead of, taking our spend from 1.2 million to almost 1.5 million. If we're worried about revenue generation or runway and burn rate, we're adding more money without increasing our income, right? So if there's not a solid understanding going forward with a proposal or plan of what we can do, not to just mitigate spend at certain time based on tokenomics, but actually increase the top line somehow and implement these changes, I'm all for it. I totally am. But personally, just from the presentation, it sounds like we're going to hire somebody to come in and make recommendations, and then we'll implement them. I would rather hit the ground running, and have some due diligence done prior. Like most grants and proposals, they have done due diligence. They have built something, and they say, hey, you know what? We realize you're using Excel when you could use this system. We want to migrate you guys to this financial and budgeting reporting system because we have experience. Let us do that for you. That's consultancy. That's perfect. If it's just for you to tell us to use a different software and we have to do it ourselves, I think there's enough smart people here that can improve our financials from an Excel file to QuickBooks or to something else, an accounting practice. I know Mariana is an accountant. So, outside of just nice words and presentations, like, let's get to action, and would love to have you guys be a part of our DAO that can improve it financially, not just make recommendations without doing anything. That's just my final point.
I also want to, I think there's a good comment from Carl. He says, seems like it should be divided between a proposal for review and recommendation, followed by a future proposal for particular changes. I think I just want to be clear, we're not necessarily against this type of breakdown. So it could be composed of two parts. So we can entertain that idea, but we just want to make sure that there's some sort of commitment from the DAO to actually move forward with the implementation of these actions, because we know by experience that there's lots of turnover in the DAOs, like people change, opinions change, and then there's always rediscussion over everything, and so we want to make sure that if we do the work, the heavy lifting, we prepare all things and the ideas for future action plans. Then once we get to the action plan phase, then we can actually do those things. And to your point, Lostrom, so I think that's the only thing that we want to make sure that once we have prepared everything, did the groundwork, we have implementation plan that that we don't want to find ourselves all of a sudden that there's a bunch of pushback that was not there in the first place. So that's just the only concern that I want to address. But for the rest, I think we're not against this idea of having maybe a two-phase approach.
Also, I wanted to mention something else. So, unfortunately, what we noticed in our grant system, we see a lot of grantees making programs, applications, whatever, and then it's their own platform outside of the Decentraland, repository. Like we saw with the accounting system, or with the other accounting proposal, pretty much what what the main, I think what we need to focus on too is being able to create something that the central line can, have IP or ownership of this, accounting system, because what I don't want to happen is, Enzyme having their own, separate accounting system. Let's say the grant goes through, 12 months of accounting is provided, and then, the next grant doesn't get, passed, and then, oh, by the way, guys, sorry, we're going to take our work with us. So like, what would be smart is if we all create or we collaborate and integrate your guys' system, or figure out some sort of better software to make our transparency dashboard better, so that way we'll forever have this, improved accounting system. Because I agree, like, our transparency dashboard, it's good for now, but it can be better. And I think it's just more important for Decentraland to have their own accounting system rather than relying on a third-party vendor to then disappear in 12 months after their grant is gone. I've just been more sensitive on that topic just because of how I've seen grants just go away after taking the money, and then so, and that's something that we can approve on with this, like maybe consult with the governance squad on making this accounting system better or the transparency dashboard better. Same with grant support squad, helping them, consult on better ways to account for the grant systems, like how many grants are being paid out per month. Let's make a schedule, right? Like, let's see how many grants have been paid out in the last 3 months. What's the current vesting flows for each grantee? Because right now it's so confusing in the transparency dashboard Excel file, and it just requires a lot of pivoting. I've done the pivoting, so I know, but just better data visualization and that kind of consulting could really go a long way. So that way our Decentraland DAO can just have we just have ownership on this this data at the end of the day. I hope that made sense.
Hey, Marion, I can comment on the accounting technologies we'll be using. They will definitely be transferable. So, like you mentioned, if it comes to a point where the grants ended and Region and Avant-Garde leave, it will be able to definitely be transferred to the Decentraland community and contributors to take it over and continue reporting on whatever we've set up during this period. It won't leave you in the dark once, say, the grant ends.
Yeah, no, and I didn't want to say that you guys would, but it's just something that we need to keep in mind from a risk perspective, And I'm not saying that you guys will do that, but it would just be really cool to see, some sort of collaboration to make the Decentraland's transparency dashboard better. Sure, you guys can have your third party, subledger system, but ultimately getting that integrated or fed into the Decentraland, or where we can just, ultimately just pull our data into our own transparency dashboard would be key. And there could be two running systems at the same time. But I'm just brainstorming on ways to make our transparency dashboard better.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think one of the final bullet points on the accounting side was helping kind of feed the accounting work we do into, say, the dashboard, etc. And that'll be one of the deliverables we can work on focusing after we've sorted out the accounting, for sure.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
And just on our side, I think I don't see any problem with that. I mean, all the on-chain activity for treasury management, either on Enzyme or outside of Enzyme. I mean, Enzyme has an API that can be fed into this accounting system. So definitely something that can stay with the DAO. So, I mean, I don't see any problem with that.
There is a question from Carl, but would there be ongoing fees? Could you address it mostly?
I mean, I guess I mean the proposal. I mean, at least this high level proposal is to have like a yearly budget. So that's as long as the assignment continues. It's an ongoing assignment. Of course, like we can agree on like renewal of those. I mean, these are details that that can be discussed in the proposal phase, and you can provide all the feedback you want.
Many valuable points from community members. Yeah, it would be great if we would see actual results and implementation plans to spend half like 20, 50K and to see at the end that we have a new revenue sources, convenient accounting system and treasury management strategies that can bring us revenue. So yeah, I agree with Mariana and Westrom. There's also a question, what's an approximate second year cost? And also good question, would there be second year maintenance fee? Would there be different from first year?
I think we'll have to see, also depending on the workload that is involved with the, obviously there's heavy lifting to do in the first year. Then we'll have to reassess based on the mandates that we have on treasury management. So it's not very easy to answer this question at this point.
Thanks for answer. Any other questions? Maybe someone wants to speak. Okay, Fancy, if there is no question, yeah, we can wrap it up or.
Yep. Actually, we have 5 more minutes, but if we don't have any more questions, we can close this meeting. As I always said, we can continue these discussions in the financial planning and treasury management dedicated channel in the working group section. Lola, if you can, I'm going to share the link, sorry. To do financial planning, here it is. I'm going to share the link here. So if you all want to continue these discussions, ask questions to Moss, Hamad, Ainsley, to the people that's proposing this, or if you want to give some feedback, share some comments, thoughts. We also have that proposal from Risk about treasury management, about diversifying funds. So that might be also a good opportunity for discussing this topic. So, okay, with that said, I want to thank you all for attending this meeting. And yeah, thanks for Mariana, Lastrom, and all the people that asked questions, Carl, because yes, if we don't ask the questions, if we don't ask the right questions, we're not going anywhere. So thanks a lot, and we'll keep you posted about new updates.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us.
Bye bye.
Yeah, thanks guys, and thank you for the questions.